What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks, and we back in the building. You feel me? It's True Talks, cause True Talks. All right, let's get straight right into it. I'm not trying to make this video too long. You know what I mean? I've been talking about this from time. Obviously, it has gotten a lot of uproar, or it's just been a big news topic in the NBA world, especially the Raptors world. Um, Nick Nurse, the Raptors fired Nick Nurse, but it seems to be that they kind of parted ways. Nurse already knew his time was coming. I'm pretty sure contract was ending up and all that type of stuff. So they kind of part ways. It's not really a firing, even though it is a firing. I don't know if he had one more year. I don't know the logistics. I didn't pay attention to all of that. But he might not, whatever. Regardless, I know that Nurse was kind of like hinting he's off that. And for a nurse, for Nick Nurse, for a coach to kind of already kind of be off that means he lost his voice with the locker room. And you see this time and time again. Same thing with Nash with Brooklyn Nets. Nurse wasn't that atrocious as Nash, but I think his voice was lost from time. And I'm gonna talk about it in chronological order. So we're gonna go about that and dissect this as quickly and as efficiently as we can, because I don't want to make this too long. Because I've been talking about this, but obviously I'm gonna do my due diligence and kind of enlighten y'all about what I've been saying and reasons why this has happened. A lot of people, you want to ring with the Raptors? How could you do this? It's the same bunch that, oh my God, DeRozan has been there all those years and did. Dog, if you're not cut for the task and you're sussing, it's time to move on, because we have bigger fish to fry. We try to win again. There's no long talk. It's cutthroat here. If you're not built for this, it's not this loyalty shit. Is not, dog. Those teams that have no aspirations to do something, they do that. Any team that feels that they have a roster for greatness, they have greatness on their team, they have aspirations to be great, there's certain things that won't rock with. They'll only allow for a certain amount of time. When that window cuts off, or when you pass that, we move on, fam. We get better. So a lot of y'all don't understand that, because a lot of y'all really deep down just love the Raptors being underdogs and winning sometimes when they should win. You don't care if they underachieve. A lot of y'all don't care about that. So you just care about the actual people that have on their team and the fact that they have their loyalty. You just care about loyalty. If you really cared about winning, that's the thing. You can go to other fan bases and you'll see that they've been, get rid of that guy. They don't care about what you done before. We care about, you got us here, yeah. But if we can't get past this, and there's better, I'm sorry. Thank you for what you've done, but we need to move on. And that's exactly what the DeRozan trade was. You got us here, and you were great for what you were, but you were underachieving. We actually were supposed to be done better. We're supposed to have done better, and you were underachieving. And at some point, dog, you're just not that guy to take us to the promised land. There's levels to everything. Certain people could get you to here, but to get to that promised land, sometimes you need a different ilk. You need a different caliber. It's the same thing when guys switch agents. It's the same thing when guys switch, casted members on shows. There's always, or switching directors, whatever the case is. If you want to get to this level, some guys just need resources to get to that level. So they need better teammates. And then now they elevate and they'll show you that they're of that ilk. Some guys, you tried to get the better teammates route and they still didn't propel you. At some point, it can't be the teammates anymore. It has to be the core. And we seen Kyle Lowry overachieve, so I knew it wasn't Kyle Lowry. It wasn't the problem. I knew that. Because Kyle Lowry doing all that, what he does, Kyle Lowry's not a scorer like that. He has no bag. Lowry had to dive deep into his bag that didn't even exist. He had to find a bag. Because DeRozan is so underperforming, and his bag that he had, he just loses it. He just lost his bag. Gone with the wind. Someone just stole his bag. Gone with the wind. Or his bag's on the floor, and Lowry had to pick up his bag and wear it for him. Because Lowry literally has the mentality of I'm going to fight through, and he has the mentality. You've seen it. You've seen it with even in the play-in. You've seen it. He's going to, when it's time, he's going to rise his level of play. I have no bag, but when it's time, all of a sudden I have a bag. If you're not going to do it, then fine. Then give me the rock. I'll do it. So for Lowry to be doing that, he only was doing that because if DeRozan was doing that, why would Lowry have to do that? And you saw that with Kawhi. If Kawhi's doing that, Lowry don't have to do shit. Lowry had games when he had 0 points. Like, Lowry had games where he wasn't even doing anything, and it didn't matter because Kawhi is doing it all, and you can interchange them because now Lowry becomes the role player. He's not becoming the star. He goes back into the role he has always supposed to be. So if him is doing it, if it's him or VanVleet, as long as one of them does something, and then it helps Kawhi. As long as Pascal does something, helps Kawhi. If Pascal don't do nothing, then Lowry better do something. If Lowry don't do something, then Gasol. But it's just interchange. But Kawhi has to be consistent throughout. And he was that superstar. Because DeRozan isn't consistent throughout, and in fact, he's underperforming. Now, all these other guys have to overachieve or overperform. So now you know when we have to switch it out, we have to get that DeRozan for Kawhi trade. And that's why you won in 1 year. But Nurse becoming the coach in that 1 year, let's go back in time. So the whole purpose of me even talking about that was that sometimes there's levels. So Nurse was stagnant at this level that you have to switch him out, and they're looking at Udoka. And you know Udoka in 1 year, you seen what he did, and his wasn't because of the talent he had. He actually reconstructed and reorganized the offense. He redid everything Brad Stevens had. It wasn't just because, now we got Kawhi. Because some people could look at Nurse just because you got Kawhi, but it wasn't just that. That's why I don't. Nurse was just the perfect mind. And with that roster, he knew how to take that maximize that roster with Kawhi coming in. That KC, other coaches might not have been able to do because he actually was innovative. So he had the IQ. So we're going to go to, this is why Nick Nurse is just more so stuck in, he's only elite at one thing. He's not like a real elite coach that could adjust, going to read his roster and now reconstruct and adjust based on like how Ty Lue is doing. Like Ty Lue, when Kawhi is out, he played Marcus Morris. You know what I mean? Like when Kawhi and PG out, he has to reconstruct his whole new team. Even though they still run things similar, he has to play with how he's playing with certain things. When Kawhi's there, then he's adjusting his team depending on the roster. Nurse does the same shit no matter who's there. And that was the problem. Like, it worked, and this is why I'm going to dissect quickly. When they got Kawhi, it's just not they just got Kawhi, the same team, and now they ran. No. Even though they did have the same team, he tweaked things. This is what he tweaked. Before, the Raptors were starting Ibaka and Gasol. Okay? With DeRozan, Lowry, and I forgot who was the OG. That was their lineups. Okay? And then Norman Powell off the bench. When they got Kawhi, Nurse took a different approach and said, in this era, I don't want to have two bigs where the power forward is still kind of slow. He's kind of like a big, because in this era, you could actually play a smaller guy as a big or a power forward as a big. So you know what? I'm going to put Ibaka as the bench 5. And that's going to do wonders because now, at all times, we're going to have a stretch 5 in the game. So we're going to have Gasol to start in lineup. But anyways, Gasol shoot the 3. We're going to have him shoot the 3. Ibaka off the bench, he going to shoot the 3, and we're going to empower him to shoot the 3. And he can shoot the 3. He showed signs of it. So we're going to empower both of them to shoot the 3 in practice. They're going to work on 3s all day, every day, catching and shooting from every spot. And they're going to be lethal at that. And then when they get in here off rebounds and post, they still have post to post hook, Ibaka can post hook. They can short pick and roll, shoot the midi, whatever. They're going to play however, but they can shoot. So that is a benefit because now when Pascal's in the game, no matter what lineup he's with, whether it's bench when Kawhi's not there or he's with the starters, whoever he's in, what lineup he's in, he's going to have a shooting big alongside him. So the paint's going to be free as him at the 4. And you have the 1, 2, and 3 that could shoot. He's going to have the paint to himself. So that's why Pascal was literally he was a brand new person because Pascal was just coming off the bench in G League and he was the same guy, but his role changed. He was now the starting 4. So that's an innovative approach and change that Nurse did that if Casey was still there, he might have still had Kawhi with the regular starting 5. So that change took the Raptors to a whole new height as a team. Because now spacing is elevated. It's just defense. Pascal can run downhill. Like there's not that much weakness offensively, period, now at any facet of the game. Which is why now Nurse, even though he's coaching, that style he's doing is going to work, and it's auto. It's literally auto, whether he's there or not. That's why when Kawhi was out and they were still winning, it's not the fact that they don't need Kawhi. It's just the blueprint they have, the personnel, and the play styles that they have just meshes. It's like Milwaukee. Literally, that's what it was like. But you actually have a bucket getter like Kawhi. Like you actually have a Kobe on your team. You know what I mean? Like a Jordan-esque guy on your team. Where Giannis has Middleton, a poor man's version. But Giannis, again, is the better version of the Pascal. So it's like, it's which one do you choose? Which is why when they faced each other, the Raptors won, because at the end of the day, the MJ is going to win, which is Kawhi. So when you look at it, Giannis has the whole paint. It's the same thing. Lopez, the Gasol. They used to post up. They used to do work, but now they're now spot up guys, right? Ibaka, Bobby Portis, shooting. They used to go to work in the midi and in the block and in the paint. Now they're 3-point shooters now. Same personnel, where we learned that skill set to empower Giannis to go downhill and just wreak havoc in the paint. Same thing that they did for the Raptors with for Pascal, that Nurse did. So Nurse kind of unlocked Pascal, and so that's what made Nurse get his contract, won the ring. Everything was gravy. The second year without Kawhi, Pascal in the bubble, Pascal was struggling, but he again advanced himself because now he's the number one option. So his individually growth happened. He didn't really change his game, but he just got more usage. So now the points, everything just racked up even more. But in the bubble, they went 7 games again. The reason why they were able to do this again is because even though Kawhi left and you lost your MJ, and in big moments you see the lack of it, where now Lowry has to try to do something all day. You've seen the lack of it, but they're always going to be elite. That's why they're a top 3 seed. They're always going to be in that contending realm because the blueprint they have was they had Ibaka was still there and Gasol was still there as shooting bigs for that 1 extra year. So Pascal play style is enabled and is able to still be fruitful. When you look at it now, like after that year, that's when the Raptors were now dropping drastically, where they were inconsistent. People were like, oh, they're not playing in Toronto after the bubble and they're playing in Florida or whatever is their new home. I'm like, whatever y'all say, yo, that's not it. This was the first time, because that's when now Scottie was a rookie. This was the first, or was Scottie a rookie? No, Scottie wasn't even there yet. That was the first time they lost Ibaka and they had no Gasol. I'm pretty sure it was that year. Actually, let me check, fam, because my brain. Let me check, yo. Because I'm pretty sure, yeah, Gasol was on contract year, that 1 year, and then left. I'm pretty sure, or maybe, or yeah, because when Kawhi left, he opted in. So it was that 1 year. Let's see. We're going to see real quick. But at the end of the day, from what I'm saying, if I think I'm correct from what I'm saying, then, yeah, when Pascal, so let's see, 2020, 2021. Let's see who's on the Raptors roster. Yeah, that was the year that they were 27-45. Yeah, that was the horrendous year. Who was on the roster? Rodney Hood, Stanley, yeah, Patrick McCall, Norman, yeah. So they didn't even, yeah, I'm correct. They didn't have no Scottie. So in that year, that's when they had Kem Birch as the starting 5. My fault. So they had an inside big. Kem Birch don't shoot no threes. Yeah, that Aaron Baines. Aaron Baines, like, he was bricking, so he wasn't like, come on now. Aaron Baines and then Kem Birch even took over Aaron Baines and stuff like that. So that was the year. That's why they played horrendous, because that was the first time that they did not have a good, great shooting big. And ever since then, that's when the Raptors went downhill, because they haven't replaced Gasol and Ibaka. Y'all keep thinking of Kawhi. Replace Kawhi, replace Kawhi, replace Kawhi. That's the last, that's like the big fish. But just to be a great team, period, you needed a shooting big because Pascal's on the team. Sorry, y'all. But with Pat, it's going to be a struggle, play style wise, if you're running the way Pascal being the play initiator and playing ISO and all of that type of shit, and you don't have a shooting big. It's gonna count. It's gonna clash, and they've never addressed that. So right now they have Pirtle. Last year they had Precious and Scottie. Like, they've never had a shooting big, and this is why you've seen them be unconventional because there's no other team in the league that don't have a big that can shoot or have an option to have a shooting big or go small with a shooter at the 5. There's nobody in the league. Because even the one that have Gobert that don't shoot, they still have an option that they could go ahead and put in Karl Anthony Towns to play the 5, and then now they have a shooting, like, you know what I'm saying? Or even if they don't have a shooting big, it doesn't matter because their 4 isn't a Pascal. Their 4 is a shooter. The 4 is a 3-and-D guy who spaces the floor or a bucket getter. So it doesn't matter. It's the Suns, the Ayton don't shoot threes. It don't matter. KD's at the 4. It don't matter. They don't need to live in the paint. Any team that has a Giannis type or a Pascal type that lives in the paint, they have to have a shooting big. It makes no sense. So when you look at it from that perspective, that is the first clash that has nothing to do with Nurse. But to show you that Nurse, this is where Nurse getting fired and Nurse underachieving comes in play. If you were the great because he won a ring, if he didn't win a ring, I don't think they will look at Nurse as like he's sus, and they would actually look at the roster and reorganize it. Right? But because Nurse won a ring and he kind of put himself in a category where he's of that ilk, you're supposed to be of a certain ilk, and most coaches that have won a ring, most, not all, if they have a roster, they should be able to see the deficiency in the roster and be able to make a change, even if the front office won't make a change in how they run their offense to maximize the roster. And in order to do that, you're going to have some real conversations with certain guys. They're going to have to get humbled. Perfect example, Pascal. Pascal's going to have to get humbled. Yo, I know you're like individually you're trying to grow and all that type of stuff, but your ISOs are going to be cut limited because you're going to have to be setting the screens. Or you're going to have to learn how to catch and shoot like you was with Kawhi. You was catching and shooting. You weren't getting bare ISOs. You were actually a decent catch and shoot shooter. You're going to have to go back to doing that and cut in and getting ISOs off mismatches, situational ISOs, because we need you to space the floor because we have Scottie on the team as well, and he's Draymond. He has Draymond 2.0. He has to be involved in. He has better vision. He has better ball handling. He has better IQ. He's going to screen, slip, roll. He needs to paint more, and you have to be the shooter. You have to just be the shooter. Learn pull-ups. You have to just change your game, fam. You might average less, but you're going to be more efficient. Change your game. Empower yourself to, and just go back to running downhill, cut in. Scottie will see you dime and lay up. Like, Scottie can still play with no spacing, but he has to have it. He has to have it more. He can't be the one spotting up and you eating. That will never work, which is why you see inconsistencies. Let Fred and OG and Trent be dribbling and let Scottie be setting the screens. Scottie having the ball, other man setting the screen. Like, let Scottie operate. Pass it, set screen, handoffs. Like, let him operate. Ben Simmons, Draymond S type, but more of a bag. That's going to maximize the team to a whole new level and be more unguardable, and that's the only way you could work with this playstyle clash. Without that playstyle clash, if Scottie's the one spotting up, you can't have the worst shooter spotting up. That makes it even worse because now Pascal's ISOs, he's more doubled. Everything just becomes worse. And yes, they got Jakob Poeltl, but I told y'all, you've seen it in the playing. Like, he can't shoot. Like, why are you going to add yes, you need rim protector, but I always thought, it's funny. When they didn't have a big, people, they need a big. I was like, if you got a big, if he can't shoot, you're going to make the team worse. They're going to be greater in certain moments and versus bad teams, but they're going to be worse because even when they didn't have a real big, they still were the 5th seed when they were facing Philly last year. Because, again, there's benefits to being small. At least you could push downhill. You know what I mean? There's certain things you could do. They could still shoot a little bit. There's still more you could work with. The big wasn't necessarily the issue. Just how they used their offense was the issue. They could have maximized it if they did exactly what I said with Scottie initiating or Scottie being involved in every action as a screener all the time and Pascal off the ball and cut in and getting ISOs off mismatches, off switches. That's if they did that at a steady diet, then now your shooters become more comfortable. They have more rhythm. Now when they actually do catch and shoot scenarios, they'll score more as opposed to them barely touching it, having no rhythm. They're not shooters like that. They're guys who could shoot, but they need to have rhythm. Then they could be shooters. That's the type of shooters OG is. That's the type of shooter Trent is. That's the type of shooter Van Fleet is. They're not just out the gate shooters 50, 40, 90 regardless. No, they're not. They're rhythm shooters. Their shooting gets better with more touches, with more rhythm, with more confidence and comfortability. And that's what was lacking when now you just go to Pascal all the time ISOing. And that's a Nurse problem, not a roster problem. That's a Nurse problem. Because, again, to have that identity switch and that offense switch, you're going to have a real conversation with the head snake and Pascal. And what happened when he benched Pascal when they were losing, remember, 27-45, that same season I'm talking about, when they were losing and stuff like that? Pascal snapped on Nurse. When he benched him that 1/4 quarter because he was playing atrocious, he snapped on Nurse. And that was Nurse's moment to say, I made you, fam. Without my decision to start you, who would you be? Shut up. Trusted me. I'm doing this for a reason. That was his moment to humble Pascal. But no, Pascal's the main guy. Pascal's the guy having the bread. He's supposed to do, dog, why are you benching him? Are you stupid, my nigga? Who you benching? And it's Nurse to sun him in that moment. But Nurse probably didn't like the confrontation. Nurse probably fearful of his job. Nurse probably showed in that moment that he's not built for that cloth. And Pascal won the battle. So now when Pascal wins the battle, and now you're playing him, and not only that, you're running offense for him, you're running clutch pace for him, what does that tell the other team? Now the other team don't even rate you, or other teammates don't even rate the coach like that. So now your words are starting to get lost. I'm telling you something. I don't need to be in the locker room, fam. I don't know nobody. I'm just, dog, I just do this. I hooped. I've been in this. I know what's going on. I see through. The minute that happened, I already knew what time it was. And that's why they're looking at Udoka, Nigerian, Nigerian Masai. He probably knows that, like, why would you do that, Nurse? You're supposed to sun these mans. I shouldn't have to, like, Masai don't play. He pulled the trigger. Masai don't play. This is why I've always liked Masai. That's why I said in Masai we trust. He don't play, which is why I thought he was going to pull the trigger, but I see what he's doing. There was a bigger play. Why would I pull the trigger on the Pascal trade and switch things up if at the end of the day, Nurse is just not the caliber of person I need to switch this organization around and get back to winning without a Kawhi-like, or put us in a contendership situation so now we can make a trade again to get a Kawhi-like, because no free agent Kawhi-like guy is coming here. They're going to have to be in the same scenario where they're winning. They have a main guy, they're winning, and then they flip him again and get some elite guy, and they have that structure around. So we're trying to rebuild the structure again. We need the head snake to really be of that ilk. If Udoka was here, that shit won't fly. He'll tell Pascal, go to the corner, fam. What are you talking about? Who are you talking to? Like, there's certain coaches that will sun whoever needs to be sunned. Because they don't play. What I'm saying is guaranteed right, follow suit. And not only that, even if they are wrong, they're going to sun you just to let the other guys know, damn well sure when I talk to you, you going to listen. So I'll sun him just so you can't even bring that up. You see me sun the main guy, you're not even going to speak up when I talk to you, 6-man, about something. You don't even give me an attitude. Who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's stuff like that. These are grown men. So this is stuff like that happens. If a grown man sees another grown man get sunned, automatically you're looking at him like he's not even a grown man no more, fam. I can talk to you whatever way. Yo, we running that play where you get... running what play? Trent coming down, just pull. Like, what are we talking about? You're only running that play because Pascal sunned you, for Pascal to have the... I got the last 3 game winners. Why is the play not for Trent or for Van Vliet? We're running the play for Pascal to come off for a 3 because he sunned you. Now you're actually going to jeopardize our wins because he sunned you and you can't man up and just tell him go to the corner, fam. That's what I'm seeing. That's what they all were seeing. And that's why Nurse is even like, for a coach to go like, I'm probably done at the end of the season. That's why the Raptors are mad at him for even doing that. But they're already seen him being frail mentally, going down and going down and going down. So like, yo, he's obviously off the deep end. He's lost all his nutsack. So at this point, we're even going to tell mans before the season's over, yeah, I might be done after the season. Are you serious, fam? That's what you're doing. You basically you lost your voice over everybody, but to the point where he's probably talking to mans. You're like, shut up, my nigga. That's what they're probably saying to him, fam. For you to go out in public and say, yo, I'm probably done after this. That means you've been getting sun for a while, yo. Mans don't even rate you. That's what's happening. So I'm not mad at this firing. It's not even a firing. This is like he basically stepped off, similar to Nash. Like that's what happened. Like, and so if Udoka was to come in, and clearly what Masai is doing, so that's my fault, Masai, for saying you didn't, I didn't trust in you because you weren't doing certain moves. But you always have a play in play. I still think I'm gonna stand on it that y'all missed the window with the Pascal trade because now when you guys are gonna trade him, it's gonna be too late. You're not gonna get what you could have got from when his name was hot like fish grease. But why would you make those trades? I still think you could have made the trades and then get the coaching staff redefined later. But then again, maybe they're kind of panicking like, yo, coaching staffs, coaching or certain coaches will only come here because if we keep this roster intact, they're looking at the roster as it's nice. If we were to trade it and get something and other mans don't like it, we might, the certain level caliber of coach we could actually get might decrease. They might be like, Udoka might be like, yo, I'm not doing that shit. You got some 3-and-D. We don't even have a come on, I'm not doing that shit. But for him to see the Pascal, he sees certain names, he's seen something to be like, okay, I'm gonna rebuild this. And even then, he's not in a position to actually choose anyways. So that's why I still would have stuck with the trade. Now that I'm thinking about it, because he's trying to get something he could work with that's closer to Boston, but not like Boston. But he gonna make it into something. That's what his name is. But I can't pick and choose. I'm not gonna get some bread and butter situation. You know what I mean? Because of what happened, what transpired with Boston. So he's not in a choose scenario. He still wants his legacy and his job and to work. So, you know what I mean? He's only so much his slim pickings for him. So I would have made that trade regardless. But anyways, the point is, if you get Udoka, certain structure things that will be in play that like will automatically make the Raptors better, even if they kept the same play style. Certain structured things, certain moments, certain clutch his balls is gonna drop. He's gonna say, Pascal, go to the corner. Yo, we're running this play, Van Fleet, OG, picking on P and Pop, like, you know what I mean? Like whatever. So I look at it from that perspective. I understand the firing. I trusted Masai. I see his play. He's trying to get the coaching shit right. And then from there, maybe some moves might be happening. Or based on, now if this coach can't get it done with this roster, now we have to move one of these guys. And I think that's inevitable. Because even if Udoka maxes it out with this team, I think this roster, the max they could ever be is literally a 4 or 5 seed. Because they have deficiencies that you can't work over when you're facing contending teams. Like, that's why Raptors never beat any elite team. That's why they were inconsistent. They only beat elite teams by, like, it just happened. It wasn't guaranteed that they were beating elite teams. That's why they were inconsistent. Win 2, lose 2. Literally below 500. Because you're literally going at an uphill battle. Your play style clash will work versus bums. But versus the great teams, it's too easy to guard, yo. Which is why the Raptors have to rely on defense so much. People are like, oh my God, the Raptors have bad defense. I'm like, the Raptors did not have bad defense, yo. There's only so much stops you can get in this talented league. It's because you had to rely on defense so much because your half-court offense was so ass that's why it looked like they had worse defense than they did when they didn't have terrible, terrible defense. They didn't have terrible, terrible defense. It's just that when their offense became getting stops, getting steals, pushing transition, that now if they didn't get stops and now we're in a half court, it's literally like we're not scoring. So now if we didn't get stops, it actually looks worse because we can't score. When most teams just have decent defense, and because they could score, their defense and getting their decent defense and getting stops at certain times is enough because they could score. They have half court offense. They can be unguardable. So do you think the Nuggets have great defense, my nigga? Your defense becomes better when your offense is that great and mans start liking each other and stuff like that. But when you isolate the defense, it's just good, solid team defense. Their offense is just potent. You know what I'm saying? Look at the Kings. A top 3 seed. You think they have elite defense like that, fam? Like Warriors. Like, there's so many guys. There's so many teams. Your offense, either you have elite defense and decent offense, or you have elite offense and decent defense, or decent offense and decent defense, or above average offense and decent defense. You can't have decent defense and decent offense. You can't have below offense and decent defense. You can't have below offense and above average defense. That used to work back in the day, not anymore. So that's the problem with the Raptors. They never had good offense, ever. Ever. No matter if Pascal's eating individually, I'm talking about as a team. ever. So, and that's part of it is Nurse because of his part of it's the roster, but part of it is Nurse and how he's using the team. So I already know he was lost his voice and all that type of stuff. So I'm not mad at the firing and parting ways. People might be shocked. I seen this play from time. I've been talking about it from time. I've been calling out Nurse's atrocious plays. Like, just what are you doing, fam? Like, you can't do what you used to do, but you have to adjust it. So this exposed that he was never really a great coach of the other guys that have won rings. Because I've seen Doc adjust his offense. A lot of y'all don't see that. I've seen him adjust his offense. He might not adjust certain things, but it's not that he can adjust. He comes from the old era of pride of like, just man up, fam. Why am I adjusting? Just contain him. When we switch everything, that's the blueprint that's gonna work. Just counter him. Cut off. Just play defense, yo. I shouldn't have to adjust after that. Like, play defense. Where's your pride? And he's expecting Mans to have a certain level of pride, which is why his adjustments might sometimes not come in certain scenarios because he comes from that ilk. I've seen coaches that struggle with that because they're passionate about, dog, this will work if you just D up. And he has adjusted, but people just don't see it. But anyways, again, that we're not even talking about Doc Rivers. Just of the guys who have won a ring, that automatically puts you in a category where you have to have some type of adjustability, only great coaches can win rings, how it's supposed to be. But then again, you're starting to see that in this talented era, some coaches win rings. They're a good coach, but they're not great. And then now when they don't have the ring and they don't have the same roster and you've seen because again, if you have a bad roster, it's hard to win with it. We're not talking about that. If you have a decent or a good roster on paper, you shouldn't be underachieving and be 40 and 52, like 40 and 42. Like, dog, how many seasons have they been not even the playoffs? Only one season playoffs, other than the 2 seasons playoffs. I think 3 seasons out or 2 and 2. Like, even then, whatever. They shouldn't even be in that scenario when you have a roster like this. So when you look at it from that perspective, man, it's true talks. It's true talks. Share, like, and subscribe. Like I said, in Masai we trust. I apologize, Masai, for not trusting in you. You know what I'm saying? I still think you should have made the move. But again, we'll see how things transpire. I know that I can see through what's going on. Like, it might not be as disrespectful as I say, but I wouldn't put it past. I think Nurse has been getting disrespected. Ever since he had, all it takes is one moment sometimes, and I called it. He played that wrong. He should have sunned Pascal. It's not even about Pascal. If it was a different player, it doesn't matter who it is. In that moment, if you were right in what your decision you made in terms of benching him, because he was playing atrocious and he was sus and he literally was a detriment to the team. I know you normally don't bench your stars, but he's not of that ilk. So you bench him. Same thing when Casey benched DeRozan. For you to get benched, it means you're that atrocious and you're mentally frail right now that it actually is more so a testament to how anus you're playing, not a testament to why is the coach doing this. No, you're that you should knock down the ilk you think you're on. You're not of that ilk. Because for me to bench you, I didn't even think about benching you because you're a star. You're this main guy of the team. For me to bench you, that means you're actually playing. You're playing so below, not even below average. You're playing so below you're actually becoming. You look like a G League player right now because you're mentally like in your own mental. You're frail. You're not even closing out. You're getting blown by. You're like not even taking shots. You're actually just a ghost out there that I should actually take you out the game. And it's gonna be better if I put someone else who has fire and gonna spark something. Like you're actually better on the bench right now. For them to say that about a superstar, you have to automatically, you're not a superstar. Take yourself off that. You cannot be a superstar and act like that. That's impossible. No one's saying you can't have misses and be playing bad. But when your energy's depleted, you're not even like, you're literally not, you can't even fight through that. You actually just look like a zombie. That's where like you're mentally frail. That was like LeBron in the finals. When you have that, people just overtake that moment. Like, that's why he's never going to be better than Jordan. Once I saw that moment should have never happened if you're of that ilk. That should never happen. I don't care what you're going through. If you're of that ilk, that should never happen. Because that ilk, I respect that ilk so much that, like, that's a different tier that you should never be mentioned for anybody. If you're in that category, there's certain things that can never transpire. We're not saying you can't miss. No one's saying you can't get air balls because fatigue happens. No one's saying, but the way you look like a ghost, like it looks like 4-on-5. Like you're actually like just out there, deer in headlights. that should never happen to you if you're of that ilk. So when that happens to you, it's more so of like a self-reflection moment of like when PG said, I'm just not a number one guy. Like, you self-reflect. Knock yourself down off that, instead of getting mad thinking you're of that ilk and, oh my God, and coming at the coach, because the coach is not wrong. But it's Ty Lue. Shut up, yo. I bench you for a reason. Like, certain guys, they will in that moment will step up and let their nuts hang. And if they have to fist fight, they'll fist fight. It is what it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you choose the route of, all right, okay, you are the star. Sorry, my fault. And you now adhere to him. That's just like, that's beta talks. That's like, you can't run the team. But that's not an alpha. That's not, you know what I mean? You lost the team. You lost the team. They're not gonna respect you after that. Like, it's over. The coaching staff won't even respect you after that. They're probably talking behind your back like, yo, I didn't think he was gonna do that. He's free. I know. Just honestly, just do what you got to do. You know, I can't say nothing. Like, you put coaching staff who's on your side in bad position. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the moment to me. I may be wrong, but I can smell it. I can smell it. So, you know what I mean? That's the behind the firing that a lot of y'all probably aren't paying attention to or even seen or even noticed. I'm telling you, I don't have no insider, no nothing. I could be wrong. But when I saw that report come out, I already knew what it was. Because after that, Pascal has never been benched in any scenario. Pascal has been getting clutch plays ran for him. Like, things changed. He now was the play initiator. Van Vliet wasn't anymore. Like, things changed. So, you already know. It's true talks. It's true talks. Share, like, and subscribe. We out here. There's no doubt here. There's no doubt here. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. Spread the word. And, you know, share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate y'all. You already know. And I'm out, man.